This video will be the first of a new series where there is little to no visual element. These videos are going to be designed for you to listen to while you're doing something else. They're essentially going to be podcasts. Anyway, enjoy. So, it's the late 70s. Unix, originally intended for the Bell system, is now being licensed out to third parties like Microsoft, IBM, and most notably, Berkeley for their BSD operating system. The BSD kernel will later be used as a part of Darwin OS, which will eventually lead to Mac OS, iOS, and the whole host of modern Apple operating systems. So you get the idea. Unix has influenced a lot, but increased expectations at the time led to a need for a free alternative. And that's exactly what Richard Stallman tried to do in 1983 by launching the GNU project, an attempt to make a free, open-source, Unix-like software for everyone to use. By 1991, the GNU project was only a collection of programs, not a full OS, and the GNU Herd kernel project was not yet finished. Luckily, there was a kernel finished around this time by Linus Torvalds. I'm of course talking about Linux. Linux was added to the GNU project, and together they made a full system, GNU/Linux. This brings us to distros. A distro is a complete OS that contains the Linux kernel, core GNU programs, a package manager, and components of a GUI if it has one. Some distros are geared towards an average user, some towards a power user, DIYer, enterprise. You get the idea, a lot of flavors, and each flavor is backed by a certain philosophy. One of the first Linux distros, Slackware 1.0, was released in July 1993 and is still being maintained to this day. A few months later, the first version of Debian is launched, which leads to a ton of derivatives, including Ubuntu, Raspberry Pi OS, SteamOS, and Kali Linux, just to name a few. There's also the Red Hat distro family, targeted mainly at enterprise use, the Arch Linux family, aimed at providing minimalism and extreme customizability, and the Gen 2 family, which includes Chromium OS. On top of all of this, there are also multiple GUI desktop environments. Most people just use the default environment that comes with their distro. The most popular one is GNOME, but you can switch to KDE or XFCE. So now you're probably beginning to see the reason behind the sheer number of distros. The freedom and open nature of GNU/Linux allows developers to make whatever system they envision, and this leads to a lot of variation. Anyway, if you have anything to share about GNU/Linux, be sure to leave them down below. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.